Alright, the next step is to pull up the walls. So we've already centered it. We've opened it. Our walls are still nice and centered. They're not wobbling or anything like that. We have a flat bottom. It's compressed. We're ready to pull up the walls. So what we're going to do is talk about hand position. I have fingernails, so I like to throw with a sponge in my right hand, but ideally you don't. The only surface area you're going to be touching, I'll show you with clay, is your fingertips. You're going to have clay touching in those spots only. You're going to have a left hand on the inside. You're going to have a right hand on the outside. You want to position your hands on the clay. Think about it like an analog clock. If this is noon, this is 3 o'clock, this is 6 o'clock, you want to have your hands somewhere between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, but you ideally want them at 4 o'clock. If you find your hands over here, you look awkward, you look uncomfortable, and you're going to have less stability to make a nice cylinder. So back up your hands here, nice and comfortable, looking at the position. If you can, when your walls are short, you can touch your thumbs for more stability. But what you want to do, I'm just going to grab my sponge because I like it that way. What you want to do is have that equal pressure on both sides. You want to be putting the pressure kind of like if you're holding a canary. You don't want to pinch it too hard that it would squash the canary, but not so light that the canary can fly away. So you want to have some grip to it. And as you go up, you're going to go real slowly. When you get to the top, you gently release. And I'm going to compress my lip. Right now it's kind of pointy and I want to keep a nice rounded, stable lip. So my left hand is going to give a gentle hold here. I'm not really pinching, just holding. My right finger is almost going to like slide down my left hand fingers, and I'm going to compress this rim. This time I took a little bit off, that's okay. Get my finger wet. Just take a sponge there, and I'm just going to compress that so it's nice and level. Flat or round is preferred. And then I'm ready to do another course. So every course, a course is from the bottom to the top. Every course you want to compress your lip. That's going to keep it stable and also prevent cracking or tearing. So again, at the bottom I have that pressure, fingers are straight across from each other. You can think about the sponge as clay. If I put my finger straight across, the sponge stays in place. If I don't, all of a sudden the clay or the sponge wants to twist or turn in different directions, and then your clay is going to respond the same way. So fingers straight across from each other. Go down here. So I'm focusing, I like to focus my mind on my right hand. The right hand is controlling, pulling the wall up, and I am having my face directly above the wall, pull up, and then compress down. Gently release. Get that little booger out of the way. Go down to the bottom again, and generally you need to put more pressure at the bottom and lighten up as you go up the top, because it's generally thicker on the bottom than it is on the top. We're aiming for walls that are 3/8 inch thick with a nice flat bottom, nice vertical walls. Started with 3 pounds of clay, and just keep on convincing that clay to go up. If I'm pinching on the outside and the inside, the clay can't go down and the clay can't go out or in. The only place the clay can go is up. Pull that up. Gently release and compress. If you get a lot of slip on your hands, you need to make sure that you take the slip off, because you want to have that nice contact with the clay. My clay is getting a little bit on the dry side, so what I'm going to do is just take my sponge, and I can just squeeze a little bit of water and then slide it down the outside so it can get wet. The less water you use, the better, but you need enough to actually be slipping. I do have a little bump in the clay near the bottom, but my goal always is as well to keep it centered so I don't create a wobble. There is a little bump at the bottom that you can see flopping around there. Trying to compress that and get it to go away or meld in. And as my walls are getting taller here, what I need to do is pause for a second. I'm going to slow the wheel down. So if the wheel is going too fast, and if you have any wobble, it's just going to make your wobble more accentuated. Okay, Clean out my sponge. I'm going to take some of this clay down here. I'm going to curve it in. I'm actually going to kind of compress. My problem spot is right down there. So it takes multiple passes to get the wall to go up. We're aiming for a 5-inch cylinder. Compress. And when you're compressing, you're also keeping that nice level lip so you won't have to trim it if it's not off center. Okay. At this point, I think I'm going to check my thickness. You can do the same as what we did on the inside when we measured down in. I'm going to get the water out of here. And we can check the thickness of your walls. So we're going to take your needle, same thing with your finger here. I'm going to look right inside the clay, and I'm holding it level to the ground until it pops through. There, it's popped through. I'll back it up, mark it with my thumb, and pull it out. And I could probably go a little bit more thin with that because you can see the comparison from the top to what I measured on the bottom. My top is great. My bottom is a little bit thick. So I'm going to pinch a little bit more at the bottom. And compressing down here will just fill that little needle tool hole. So I'm going to go slowly with the wheel speed. And your hands have to move up the side of your cylinder at the same speed as the wheel is turning around. So if your wheel is spinning slowly, your hands have to go up the side slowly. And as I get up to this area, I don't want it to get any thinner, so I'm just giving a gentle pinch, keeping it nice and centered, gently release, gently approach, and compress. You can also take the sponge and round it around if you want a nice rounded lip. That helps with the craftsmanship. This extra clay at the bottom I can trim away soon. Do one more course and then I think we'll check the thickness again. Nice even pressure, even wheel speed. Clay does not like to start and stop or be pinched and released often. Press the lip. Just going to go and clean up the bottom craftsmanship. I'm just holding a sponge in there right now. You can also take your finger in there and just smooth out any areas. I'm pretty satisfied with that thickness there. I think that's very consistent. So now, I'll just close up that hole. And I have pulled up the walls.